Get in. That's the result we needed. You know, it's been a pretty poor festive period, hasn't it? But we start the new year off at home. Chelsea beat Morecambe 5-0 in the FA Cup. This is a competition I want to take seriously this year. I said it right at the beginning of the season. For me, a domestic trophy would mean so much because it feels like it has been forever without one. And ultimately, winning at Wembley would feel so good. We're on the road. League Cup didn't go to plan. This one, we've started off heading in the right direction. We're going to get into all things Chelsea versus Morecambe. This is the reaction straight after the game. Tosin, Joao Felix, they've scored some unbelievable goals today. And Nkunku on the score sheet as well. Shout outs to Tyreek George. Great performance again from the kid. A couple of assists as well. I have to say, first half left me with a lot of question marks. I was a little bit concerned, but ultimately the second half, we absolutely got going. The message was absolutely clear at half-time. This isn't good enough. And ultimately, we switched it up. We improved massively. I'm absolutely buzzing with that win because it feels like it's been a while since I've been able to sit there after Chelsea have scored 5 goals, kept a clean sheet, and scored some of the goals with the attacking quality that we showed for them today. Oh, brilliant. Look, let's get into it, shall we? First things first. If you haven't already, smash a like on the video if you're supporting the content. If you're happy to see Chelsea win 5-0, then I think we can definitely be in a good enough mood today to subscribe as well. Look, first half, I'm just going to hit it as it is. Nail on the head. Bang. We didn't fancy it. It's cold here in England today. I think it was -5 overnight. 0 probably out on the pitch today for those players. I don't think they were in the mood first half. I think it took them a bit to get going. And ultimately, actually, fair play to Morecambe. I think they might have surprised them a little bit. You know, and Nkunku missing that penalty as well. I just feel like the heads dropped a little bit. I just felt everyone was a bit, oh no, again, really? We're in a rut here. Obviously, we moved on from that pretty swiftly and started to level up. But it wasn't really, like I said, until after half-time that Chelsea absolutely started to show their level. And I think Morecambe were just fading out of the game. And that ultimately is such an important win because going into Bournemouth, who have got a good result as well today and shown their quality against arguably a better team than what Chelsea have played, we did need to go in there with a win, with some players feeling confident and just the team as a whole knowing that they've kind of broken the rut and it's not gone on for ages. It's 4 games that were pretty low in the Prem, but we go in now on the high of a 5-0 win in the FA Cup. Come on. That's ultimately what we wanted out of this game today, isn't it? Into the next round, in the hat for the draw, and being in a better position than we were before this game, going to play against Bournemouth in the week as well. We really don't have much time until that game. And I think that's why today we saw a couple of adjustments with the squad. And I think we saw some players who previously Maresca hasn't been able to trust just step up a little bit today. And I think Tosin is one of those in terms of attacking quality. But for me, a player I want to shout out, especially as the game got away from Morecambe, was Joao Felix. Joao Felix in front of goal for Chelsea in both spells has been a little bit questionable. But today, he found his shooting boots. That first goal gave the keeper the eyes, reversed it, put it bottom corner, keeper got nowhere near it. The second goal is an absolute thing of beauty. It's a fantastic finish. Moves the defender one way, shifts the ball the other, curls it round. Oh, I mean, it's an unbelievable finish into pretty much the top corner of the net. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look because that is Joao Felix's best goal in a Chelsea shirt. It's a fantastic goal. And it's just so good to see a player like him actually sticking the ball in the back of the net. Because it doesn't matter for me at what level you're doing that in terms of scoring goals. Where it does matter is we just want to see that on a more consistent basis against the better teams. But that's the sort of ability that Joao Felix has. And I think we all know that away from scoring, there's bags of ability there. But actually, when it comes to end product, we all want to see a little bit more as Chelsea fans. And I think today he's absolutely shown what he's capable of. Tosin as well, that is probably his best goal of his career. I haven't got his goal catalogue in my mind to just jump to and think of a better goal. But definitely, obviously, in a Chelsea shirt, I mean, that's probably his best performance as well in terms of Just an all-round solid game that he didn't really do much wrong. He didn't have much to do, but he's got a clean sheet, 2 goals. Really decent from him. You know, I thought he might end up with a captain's armband at one point as well, but it ended up going to Disasi, which, look at that how you will. I'm not sure. Disasi's obviously got a bit of experience, played in another league, but I probably would have thought Tosin might have worn that. But yeah, overall, I think attacking quality-wise from other players was definitely a lot better today. I think at times I've really questioned whether or not this Chelsea team as a whole, away from like Cole Palmer, Jackson, has had enough quality. Today, obviously against Morecambe, and I'm not getting carried away here. I know who we've just played, but it was just nice to see that these players, with a bit of confidence, may actually have the ability that we're crying out to see from a number of other players in the squad. What I will get onto, though, which is a little bit concerning for me, and this is where in January I'd like us to be a little bit more active. I really would, is I think in front of goal. I think as a striker, Mark Gee might not have the quality right now. And actually, apparently he's not going to go out on loan, but if he could go out on loan, I feel like it might be something that suits you. Actually go out on loan in England and try and learn what it's like to play in the English game and see if you can get some goals under your belt. Because there's a player there who works really hard, shows great determination, but in a game like that today against some centre-backs that were actually up for it for a period of time, I felt like he was a little bit more limited. And I just think that's where Chelsea could do something a little bit better. Because for me, he doesn't challenge Jackson enough. And I think Nkunku does, in terms of what he's able to do with his finishing. But the body language on Nkunku, it's so obvious his days are numbered at Chelsea as well. I just think Chelsea need to go and sign a striker. We've been linked today, obviously, with Conrad Harder. I don't know anything about him, but look, I'd rather take an Osimhen or a Victor Gyökeres, if I'm being completely honest with you. Even John Duran or Marodian, before we start looking at players I literally don't know anything about. That's how I view it, to be honest. So let me know in the comments down below. Do you think we need a striker? And who would you take in January? Gusto, it's another player. I don't want to get stuck on the negatives here because we don't really need to. We've got a good result today. But Gusto, this season's just such a mirror image from last season. And the thing that pained me today a lot was something that I actually applauded him for so much last season, was his crossing ability. Today, I really felt like he looked rusty when it come to his crossing. Okay, under Maresca, fair enough. He's played a different role, and I actually think that's hindered him a bit. And he's not really been in that position. Today, he was obviously allowed to be in that more traditional role, if you like. But I just feel like something's missing when it comes to the crossing ability. And you know the other thing that's crazy with this Chelsea team? I see it a lot that we put crosses into the box, but I almost feel like, who are we aiming at? Who have you seen making a certain movement to deliver a cross to? I feel like we get to the edge of the box, we don't really know what to do, and we just hit a cross, and that is frustrating. And at times, I think that just comes from a lack of braveness to just try and actually break through the defence that's sitting back. Today we showed, though, that actually, if we do come up against the low block, just start testing the keeper and something might actually happen. And that kind of showed me today a little bit that actually off the back of that now looks like we might have another tool to use against low blocks. And that's to actually just try shooting. Who would have thought it? But we've seen, obviously, Pep's Man City resort to that, obviously, a bit last season. They got to the edge of the box. They pinned teams back so far that all space on the pitch was removed. And then ultimately, they'd have to start testing with their centre-backs and their central midfielders. And sometimes that unlocked defences. And obviously, today, we're not talking about Premier League quality, but it's good to see it. You know, it's a better level than a training game. And it's just good to see that ultimately, we found a way to unlock a low block today and put a few goals past the team once their confidence dropped. I like to see that. That's what we should be doing. We're a Premier League side challenging for top 4 and hopefully more in the not too distant future. And they're Morecambe. That's what we should be doing. That's what Chelsea teams of the past did as well. And the last one I'm going to finish on in terms of players and negativity is Vega. Vegas started off the season for me unbelievable. Really, really impressed. Thought it was a fantastic bit of scouting. And I just feel like in recent weeks, he just hasn't looked the same. He just hasn't quite looked as comfortable as I felt that he did when he started in this Chelsea team. And I think that will come back. And I think actually in midfield, he looks probably a little bit more comfortable. But I still feel like under pressure in a game that's a little bit quicker with a little bit less time, I'm not sure he's going to be at that level just yet. And that is a little bit concerning for me. But I think that leads to where I actually didn't think Chelsea were short, but we are now. I think it's evident. I think we might need a left back. And I just feel like this list is growing a fair bit. Considering how much money we've spent and considering the number of players that are in this squad that are meant to be able to play and be good enough in certain positions, I just feel like we're not quite there. And after $1 billion, 1.5, whatever we've spent, I know we've sold players. I just feel like they're holes that shouldn't be there. They just shouldn't, especially when you have recruited. You've done the job of recruiting someone. But for me, the ability just isn't there with some of these players. And I don't feel confident if Vega's going to be our backup to Cucurella. So maybe Chelsea go and look at someone like Nuno Mendes. You know, I know he's available, and I think that would be some really good competition for Cucurella on that left-hand side. Keep them both on their toes. Chilwell obviously looks like he's going to leave without playing again for the club, and probably the same with Carney Chukwuemeka, which is a shame. I wish them well, probably by the next... I was going to say the next game, but it probably won't happen that quick. But I do think by the time we get to the end of January, a number of those sort of fringe players would have left the club. I think that's really obvious now. But look, it was a much-needed victory. It really was. Chelsea were not at the races going into that game. Started off pretty slow out of the blocks. But by the time we got to the second half, we really did start to show a bit of quality. And that's what we needed to see. Let's not get too carried away. It's against Morecambe, but it is a 5-0 win. We can be happy. You can enjoy your weekends. You can feel good enough to smash a like on the video. Let's go for 40. We've been a little bit below it in recent weeks, but Chelsea have won. Let's get there. We're on the road to 4K as well. We're on the road to 2.5K over on TikTok, where I upload all sorts of different types of content, chatting about football, transfers, news, you name it. Make sure to follow me on all the other socials, and I will catch you in the build-up to the Bournemouth game, which is going to be a tricky, tricky match. I can tell you that right now. Look, I'll see you in a bit. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in and continuing to show your support for this channel. It means the world to me. Here we go for 2025. Chelsea are up and running at home. It's so good to see.